Hey everybody, this is the last video on a battery and DC charger you're going to see from me in a long time, because this Red Arc Dcdc 1225D, I'm just going to show you what it does, explain to you briefly, and you can say, oh, you know, you've got a wrong setup, bad setup, or there's something wrong with it, or this. You can make all the excuses you like. Oh, it's because the solar. Oh, it's because of this, and it's because you've hammered the battery and you've wrecked it and all that. Everybody likes to put it in all the comments, all the reasons why, you know. I'm obviously wrong, but all those concerns you have, I've eliminated those. So firstly, back to basics. Let's take a look at the battery condition. Okay, the battery here, it's about just under 3 years old. It's been well used and cycled, but it's also been well looked after. Take a look at the voltage on that. Actually now got 4 ways we're going to look at the battery voltage. So let's do that first. Here, these can be a little bit inaccurate, but let's take a look. Might be hard for you to read, but that says 12.7 inside at the dash there. That one in the car, I find that it sort of rounds up a little bit. So it's a little bit over and it rounds it up to the nearest, point, 12.6, 12.7, 12.8. The one in the back here always seems to be just a fraction down. It's like it rounds it down. So if I had to guess from these two, I'd say the battery's about 12.6. This is the fridge system setup that you will not see in a video again unless it was already made before this one. And there could be those videos, so subscribe, turn the bell on both YouTube channels, 4x4 Diesel, 4x4 Adventures. I'm trying to get a few more videos on this vehicle this week. Let's make the most use of it we can, because it's going to be gone in a few days. And we've made a few changes with the setup to suit the new owner's requirements. Now, the other way to look at the voltage is, obviously looking on a multimeter or something like this. So this will be one of the most accurate, 12.57. I'll probably trust that more than anything, but what we can do here, let's just take a look. That says 12.51, it says it's in the red. That's just a bit of an indicator thing based on the voltage, whatever. But what's really important here is the information I'm going to get together for you in a sec. And you can see, I've got to give you some background information about what this battery's done for the last few days, and then I'm going to show you how this charger has charged it, and once again how I believe what it's doing is wrong. We've got rid of the SPI completely. It's a standard wiring setup. We've got the solar plug set up there ready for the new owner, keeping it really simple. It's a really awesome setup. People were crapping on about the size of the cables being wrong. They were these big fat jump leads for the SPI and all that, but to make it really simple, I've got rid of that. We've downsized the size of the cable to the size of the cable, which is all you need, which is about 6, 8 BNS, whatever it is. I think it was 8, whatever. It's got way more amps than what's going to go through this charger. It's nothing to do with any of the cables or the connections or anything like that. Now, you can see the typical battery condition. So obviously this was driven the day before, and slowly the battery drops down. Why is it dropping down? Well, you can see it's got things connected to it. It's got a battery monitor that's taking data. It's got those voltmeters in on the dash. It's got those air on board USB outlets with little lights on them. It's got those voltmeter, the one in the back in particular near the fridges that I just showed you recently. They do suck a bit of juice, okay? Let's not get into how much, but typically, doesn't matter if this battery was new or if it was an Optima. What I've found is with my electrical setup, with that current draw from these items, even if you've got a fully charged battery in brand new condition, the next day in the morning, like now, it's about 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, somewhere you'll see the time probably and the date and all that. It's about 12.5 volts is typically what you'll see on that outlet, which is, they're fairly accurate. Like I said, rounded to the nearest 10, 12.5. Doesn't matter if it's the Optima, doesn't matter if it's that 120 over there, and I monitor these vehicles. I've been doing this for years. All these different charging systems, I see them on, it's not just mine, I see them on vehicles, I see how they work. I don't get to use those camping, driving every day, and that's why we have multiple vehicles. It's for the R&D, and we share the information with you. Once again, you can see it's still on 12.7. So we're going to say it's about 12.6, 12.7. That's a good battery. If that didn't have any of this connected to it, it would be 12.8. It's as simple as that. I've done the testing with these batteries, with the Optimas. I've had batteries where I do this and I go, oh, it's losing a bit of capacity. It's time to freshen it up, and I put a new one in, and the new one does exactly the same thing. And the old one, I charge it up, I sit it on the bench like the Optimas, and then the next morning they're on 13.1 volts still. The next day 13, the next day 12.9. They stay above 12.8 for a very long time, for weeks and weeks. So nothing wrong with them. So now that we know that the battery's good, we know why it's 12.5, 12.6 volts, because it's got some light accessory load on it. The fridges are switched off. That's someone texting me. It must be 7:30 in the morning because they listen to the videos, right? Text me 7:30 a.m. Monday morning. But we also said, look, if it suits you anytime between 8 and 10 Monday to Friday, preferably earlier in the week, but that's your window. I've got other things going on. I can't be doing text messages 24/7. Don't bother trying to call. The phone doesn't ring. But look, so this is from midnight, obviously, today, and it'll just slowly drop forever. But let's go back to yesterday, and I'll give you that rundown. You can see a similar situation, except that was probably dropping for days. Let me back it up a bit. Oh, wrong button, hang on. We'll get it right in a minute. We'll get that loaded. We'll just go, hit the wrong button. Come on, we've got to be more careful. Back. I know I'm hitting the wrong, everyone watching what I'm doing, don't hit the back arrow, it's this arrow here, right? So, the vehicle got driven by the looks of it on the 25th. You can see, without the fridges on, even though the battery was down here, it jumped up and it sat on that 13.2 that I said I'm not happy with. I want to give it more 14.5 for a bit longer. But you can see that's what it did for that short period of time where I drove to wherever I drove. And then it sat and it slowly got drained. No fridges on any time throughout any of this. It's just the accessory load from those voltmeters. If you don't want that to drop slowly, disconnect the battery. Just disconnect the negative and that won't happen. Okay. Next day, you can see that's the pattern right there. It's just cruising along. That's all that's happening. No charging, no driving, right? So the battery's fine. It's just how it is. Next one. There it is. This must have been yesterday. Now, I'll tell you what's happened here, right? Here, it's there. I've turned the fridges on, both of them, full noise. Battery's dropped. Boom. Right down. Under load, it's pulling it right down to about 12 volts. And that's fine, because I think it was on about, because it's been sitting there for a couple of days, it was on probably 12, 5, 4, 3, somewhere there. Depends which one you looked at. Pretty vague on it, you can see, but it's about 12. You can see by the line down here's, excuse me, down here's 12, up there, as it says, see 12, 13, up this side here. So you can see it's on the lower part, and it's on the way down. It's been sitting there. Like I said, disconnect the battery if you don't want that, or plug in the charger. What we do, we've got this maintenance charger, right? They're about 70 bucks at Bunnings. You can pay about 150 for them elsewhere, you know. Check up on that, could be subject to change. Here's do you want the details, the part number? I'll be grabbing another one of those because I've thrown this in with the deal. There's a few things I've thrown in. Most things need to be replaced. It's going to cost me to replace it, so if you want it, you've got to pay for it. But anyway, a couple of things, and it's a really awesome setup. It's all hardwired in, but you can just unplug it if you want to remove the storage system for any reason or whatever the case, or take that off to service or replace it, whatever. I've got a few of these. I've never had one fail. They use them in camper trailers and stuff. Anyway, separate story. Just want to say, yes, we do look after the battery also. So it gets hammered, but we also look after it. No secrets here on 4x4 Diesel. Anyone who watches all the videos on both channels gets to know me, the vehicles, and what's actually real. You can sit there and try and pick holes in it and tell me what I've done wrong, but there's absolutely nothing wrong here, and this is absolute fact. There's no mistakes. Okay, so fridges kick in. You can see I wanted to cool down the fridge, so it's run for about an hour. Absolutely hammered the battery, wouldn't you agree, Dan? With this running down over a couple of days and then down to, you know, there, then you can see I've moved the car, started the engine, it's gone straight up. See, this is the 13, that's 15, so that's your 14.5 volt getting up towards there. Great, it's only running for a minute or something like that. And I can go like this and show you the voltage, right? So there it is, down low. Like I said, it's with a fridge compressor cutting in. You don't know if it's 1 or 2 compressors, but the point is it's above 12. It's usually always above 12. The battery can handle that. Don't run it down to bloody 11.5, 11. About 14 volts, something like that. So a little bit higher, right? It's hard to get the finger. 14.2, right? Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's just get that out of the way. You can see what it was down here. Like I said, 12.3, 12.4. Remember, that's what I said. Oh, yeah, I can see. I know what's going on. I know what's going on with my setups and my vehicles, right? So let's get that out of the way. Running it down when the fridge is on. Move the car. Then it slowly dropped down again. The fridges are still on. We're loading the fridges here, you know, boom, boom, boom. Eventually start the vehicle, probably 4 p.m. by the looks of it. Charge goes up right where you want it. It's up in the 14.5 sort of volt area, right? 14.3, 2, 5, whatever, right? Some people don't care about this, but all the smart people, they're watching and they know. And I'll show you all the connections and the wires, and you can try and pick holes in it. I'll be looking in the comments for an hour, right? It's run. You can see the big drop down in the middle there. That's probably when 2 compressors cut in at once or something like that is all I can say, because I know that I was driving for about an hour and 20 minutes, say from 4 p.m., let's say close to 4:30, right? So what's happened is, at this time, it even gives you the time at the top, right? So just after 4, right, you can see the voltage. It drops there. I'll just say both fridges kicked in, both compressors maybe at the same time. That's why that's gone to there. It's compensated, yep, back up again, all good. It's charging the battery. A battery that's been run down this low needs this sort of charging for hours, okay, for hours. Some people said the solar, because I had a solar panel up on the roof here. It was wired in so it would automatically control itself and turn on as required. No solar panel. No solar panel, people. I'll just tell you, if you've had enough already, the software on these isn't good enough. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the wiring. It's just not smart enough, right? So wouldn't you agree, a battery that's run down like this over days, then that low for a couple of hours, should probably get this sort of voltage for a few hours? I'd say at least for the whole trip. Give it what you can, right? Anyway, you can see what's happened after about an hour, about here, right? It seems to be an hour. If you check with Red Arc, I'm not going to get on the blower with Red Arc. I'm just going to find out that, yeah, the software does say after an hour, if it's, you know, in these parameters, it's going to drop to, like I said, 30. You can see down at 13.2. Doesn't matter if it's the solar or the alternator, whatever you want to blame, it's 13.2, which is not good enough. And if there was just a simple voltage sensitive relay, voltage, you know, that automatically connects the two batteries, like the Red Arc SBI 12, which is what we used on this vehicle, charging this battery before we installed that to see what it did, and for the solar panel on the roof, which was all a bit of a test guinea pig, and it works okay. But my quick opinion on that, well, your roof rack is for swags and for camping gear. Your solar panel, well, what you've got to do then to get your batteries charged and your beer cold is park your car in the hot sun, which counter affects your battery. Your solar's trying to work one way, and you want to park in the shade, but then the solar doesn't work. So you really need a mobile solar panel with a 10-meter extension so you can park in the shade and take your cheap 200-watt King's panels over there in the sun, and that will do the bloody job. And just plug it in straight on this plug here. You can pop the bonnet and do it, or you can set it up so that here you can just pass it straight. This comes straight through the hole right here, and you can leave it plugged in with the bonnet closed, whatever you want to do. Or you can set up a plug that's externally available, whatever you want. Point is, it's dropped down. It's all finished. It's all over Red Rover. Engine switched off here. The only spikes there are when I restarted the engine, moved the car, switched it off again, and you can see the battery's sitting at about 12.68, which means it didn't really get a sufficient charge in this amount of time and charging here to recover from all of this damage and discharge. It needs more, all right? Any expert, any person that can follow common sense agrees with this and is only going to put in the comments, mate, you're 100% spot on. Anyone that argues with this, trying to stick up with these charts, stick up from, I'm not picking on the Red Arc brand. I like the Red Arc brand. I like Australian-made products. I'm going to use SBI 12s, but I don't like you people wasting your $600 on this, then all the installation money for something that doesn't look after your battery. Same as I don't like you wasting money on lithium. You can do that, whatever, each to their own. But a battery like this just does the job. Even with these fridges, it more than does the job. Look, it's here doing the job. It's never been a problem, right? And there's a thing called solar panels. There's a plug there. Anyway. Right, so it's dropped down. A couple of spikes where I've moved the car, and then you can see it's sitting overnight, right? It's just sitting overnight, sitting overnight, sitting overnight, sitting overnight. What I don't know is what this... Oh, no, I did move the vehicle again one more time. So I've moved the vehicle briefly. It's popped up. It's only got to about there, and then switch off. That must have been what happened. So the final parking of the vehicle, 7:40 p.m. Geez, you know too much about me now, don't you? Look at this. Look at the... You can see all my movements and everything. Anyway, and it's been sitting like that ever since. Look at that, you know, dropping away as it does, as I originally explained, because like I said, I know my gear and how it works. There's nothing wrong with anything here. Now I'll just move this cover and I'll show you the setup and all the wires so you got something to complain about. All right, now just quickly, this is the little unit. These are about 60 bucks. It's not included in the deal. It's coming off. It's just going to tidy things up a bit. Most people don't need them. I'm just using it for this data collection for this exact information. I've got one on the 120, one on this vehicle, and it'll move to the next vehicle. And I'll show you some examples of looking after a battery with a plain old SBI. Like I said before, this was here all day long. The alternator would charge both of these batteries at 13.8 volts, which is better than an hour of 14 point whatever, and then 13.2, right? Everybody, once again, can agree with that. But you can have a look at these electrical connections. Good connections there. Good. You can see the quality. There's a 100 amp fuse. Nice big wire. It goes that way before it goes this way. It's just in to tidy it up and give you a bit of space. Simple ARB compressor fuse, easily accessible here. This will be the power coming in, charging from the DC-DC charger. This big one, I've got to check actually, but that's probably the one that runs to the back of the vehicle, massively oversized. Okay, and this one here will be the one that goes into the front of the vehicle, supplying those USBs at the front, right? So this one here will be just a little dual core, more than enough juice. Again, it does the job charging iPads and everything like that, but you can see the quality of what goes on here. The next vehicle is going to be a bit different. When we installed this one, didn't have the storage for these fuses. There's a bracket now that they make that goes on top of the battery for all your fuses. Now let's have a look at this so everybody can understand what's going on. Plain and simple, right? Obviously we've got the Anderson plug, brand new Anderson plug there, fitted ready. You can just plug it in here, or you can pass it straight through the grill at the front there and leave it sitting like that while you go for a walk up El Crestro Gorge, like what we did for the day, right? We just stuck it through there, but that just sits there like that. Beautiful, no worries. If you're worried about those wires, they're just earth, so I'm not worried if they cut through onto the steel, but everything else positive gets a corrugated split tubing. And you can see that wire there, we run it down neatly around, cross comes under here and comes around to here. That's around about the size of that one for anyone that wants to know, to give you a comparison in size. But like I said, I think is it 6 or 8 bean, it's one of those anyway, something like that anyway. More than what you need, way more amps than what you need, right? So it's as simple as that. That just comes straight in to one side, bang to the other. So there's no blaming, there's nothing wrong with this, it's just how they work. You can see there's no solar plugged in, it's just sitting there looking. And I like to leave these covers because there's no reason why you need to put any clips in there. It's more easily accessible like this. When you close the bonnet, you can see the mark from the rubber seal that presses that down. It's all dirt and dust that gets under these covers that causes the rubbing. It's nothing. The clips do not stop movement. They still move around. You're living in a dream world if you think you need the clips there. Doesn't even give any strength. I've also done testing pulling on these grills, so it's just rock solid, mate. So it's not like this grill's getting any strength from having that. It's really just obviously to tidy things up. I suggest you do have it there, but you just don't need the clips. Then you're not going to break the clips, you're not going to lose the clips, you're not going to have to pay money for clips. It works perfect for me without the clips. I just saved you even more money. So I hope you liked the video. Like, subscribe, turn the bell on, share the info to your friends. Some people are going to need DC-DC chargers depending on what their setups are, but with this engine and this alternator, even though you can't get a booster diode, which I have got, that I'll be putting into the replacement 150 Prado like we've got in the Hilux. I think we have, I can't remember. We got in the 120. I think we put one in the Hilux. I really can't remember. Can someone check the videos, let me know. I got one in the 120, but recently I put one in one of the other vehicles. Was that the 150? Or was that the Hilux? I don't know what I've done. I can't keep track of all these cars and all the things I'm doing. So let me know what I've done, can you? Thanks. You can't get a booster diode for these. 13.8 is a bit low, but it's really consistent. And I can tell you it's consistent. I've had 2 of these vehicles. I've done 76,000 Ks in this one, about 60,000 Ks in the 2019. And I've monitored the charge rate. And all day, every day, the lowest I've seen is 13.7. I regularly see 13.8 and sometimes a little bit higher, 13.9, maybe 14. So the alternator may vary, but it doesn't go below, let's say, about 13.7 to 8, which is much better than 13.2. It's very nice to look after these batteries compared to 13.2, and that's my whole point. You're going to spend money on hardware, money on installation. You're going to spend more money on batteries if you're not looking after it as well. You're going to think you need more. Just get yourself some solar panels and plug them in there. And like I said, I think the King's 200 watt job for a couple $100, whatever it is adequate, okay? So a lot of people don't like King's products, that's fine. I'm not saying I love them. I'm not sponsored by them. They don't give me anything. I think their customer service is reasonable. I do use a few things from them, but you got to pick and choose what you use. And I think their solar panels, not the regulator necessarily, but that's the whole point. If you've got this, you don't need the regulator, but their regulator generally works. You can buy a Red Arc standalone regulator, solar regulator, separate to this, much cheaper than one of these. So I'm not saying I hate this or Red Arc or anything like that. And some people, depends what batteries you got in your setup. This is where you've got batteries under the bonnet. They're close together. You can just put the SBI here on the bracket and just straight to that one. And Bob's your uncle. If the alternator can charge one, it can charge two and all this sort of thing. And the bonus of being able to connect it and jump start. I know a bit of a long video, but it's the last one. I wanted to cover everything, all bases. So all the whingers and experts and know-it-alls in the comments, can't really pick a hole in this one, surely. And if you can, we'll make another video to cover it. And all the regulars that know what's going on, they can just sit back and have a laugh. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video. See ya.